Today's video is sponsored by MyLikes. Go to kalebnation.com/mylikes and try out today's like.
Here's the plan.
Yo, what?
I'm taking down Twitter.
Good morning, Nationeers! So, in the vlog a couple days ago from the Blog TV, I was asked a question, and I don't think that I answered it to the extent that I should have. And I wanted to expand on my answer to that question. So you guys had asked me, how did I get my literary agent? And this is a very important question, especially to the other writers out there. I get asked this all the time. In the publishing business these days, publishers do not talk to authors most of the time, especially the big publishers. They won't even answer telephone calls, they won't reply to your letters. Most of the big publishers won't have anything to do with an author that doesn't have a literary agent. So if you want to get your book published, you pretty much have to have a literary agent. The way that I got a literary agent is I spent 5.5, maybe even 6 years writing and perfecting and editing and polishing Bran Hambrick the Farfield Curse, my first novel, as much as I possibly could. So I did that, but not only did I make sure that my book was in top condition, I researched a lot. There are so many books at the library about literary agents and the publishing business, and the more you know about the business, the easier it will be for you to get an agent, because you know the lingo, you know how to format everything, you know exactly the way it's supposed to be, because there are certain specific rules in the publishing business, and you have to know those or else they're just not even going to read your work. So I researched, I polished, I edited, I had everything set up right and professional, and I had to write what's called a query letter. A query letter, you can do research on this as well, but a query letter is basically an email or a letter about your novel to literary agents. What it basically is it's a letter that describes your work to agents and sees if they're interested in it. So I did a ton of research on how to write the perfect query letter, and I used all the books and online resources. Then I went to a website called agentquery.com. What that website basically is it's a search engine where you put in what type of book you've written, and it gives you a list of literary agents that represent that type of book. Now my first query letter was, it wasn't written right. There was stuff wrong with it, so I sent it out and I didn't really get much response. I had one agent that wanted to look at it, and I never heard back from him for months. Never heard back from him. In fact, I think that I was signed with my agent by the time I got his rejection letter. But anyway, so I sent out all these letters, then it didn't work, so I went and I rewrote my query letter, and I sharpened it, and I made the query letter a lot better than it was in the first place, sent it out, and immediately there were 9 literary agents that were interested in the first morning. So I sent out a few more queries that morning, and I left to go eat breakfast, and 5 to 8 minutes later, I get a call on my home phone. It was this guy named Richard Curtis, and he said he enjoyed the query letter, he liked the idea of it, and he wanted to read the story. But yeah, the rest is history. We edited and we polished, and then we sent it off to publishers, and it got turned down a bunch, and it got picked up a bunch, but then turned down later on, and had a lot of rejections, and then we found a publisher 6 to 9 months later. So yeah, that's my story about how I got a literary agent and got published.